evolution is not a master architect. It's more like a tired intern working with a broken 3D printer and no undo button. Across the planet, it has produced creatures so unconventional, they feel less like biology and more like creative experiments that somehow survived the quality control phase. Today, we're auditing 8 animals that reveal just how strange and occasionally desperate evolution can get. Leafy sea dragon. Evolution as ornament. If you ever wanted proof that evolution sometimes designs for style over substance, meet the leafy sea dragon. Drifting along the coasts of southern Australia, it looks less like a fish and more like seaweed that developed ambition, or a guy who dressed up as a shrubbery to avoid paying taxes. Those leaf-like appendages aren't for swimming, therefore disappearing. The sea dragon survives by committing fully to the bit, moving slowly, swaying like kelp, and blending in so convincingly that predators often glide past without noticing a thing. Unlike octopuses or cuttlefish that shift color and texture on demand, the leafy sea dragon relies entirely on architecture. It's camouflage by structural bureaucracy, not performance. It works because its environment rewards stillness, subtlety, and looking like trash instead of a snack. It's one of evolution's most elegant oddities, a creature that thrives not by outrunning danger, but by becoming part of the furniture. Pistol shrimp. Physics as a weapon. From elegance to outright absurdity, the pistol shrimp. At just a few centimeters long, it doesn't look dangerous until it snaps its oversized claw. That snap creates a collapsing cavitation bubble that blasts through the water faster than many bullets. When the bubble implodes, it produces a shockwave strong enough to stun prey, and for a split second, a flash of light generated by sonoluminescence. The shrimp isn't powerful. It doesn't need to be. Its strength comes from physics. Evolution handed this tiny crustacean a biological sonic cannon. It uses that weapon with ridiculous precision, hunting in a way that feels more like engineering than instinct. It's a perfect reminder that some of evolution's strangest ideas aren't about bigger claws or sharper teeth. Sometimes the best advantage is simply knowing how to break the laws of fluid dynamics. Thorny devil. Water engineered through skin. In the Australian desert lives a lizard that looks like it was built from spare parts found in a prehistoric junkyard. The thorny devil is covered in sharp conical spikes, but its strangest feature isn't the armor, it's the plumbing. Its entire body is a water harvesting system. When rain falls, or even when the lizard walks across damp sand, microscopic grooves between the scales pull water along its skin through capillary action. The liquid travels across the surface like fluid in hidden channels, all the way to the corners of the mouth. The thorny devil is the only creature that can drink just by standing on a wet napkin. It can drink without bending its head, without finding a puddle, and without being near standing water at all. Then there's the decoy head, a false bump behind the real one. Combined with its ant-only diet, thousands per day, one tongue flick at a time, the thorny devil feels like an evolutionary experiment in slow, efficient survival. It isn't fast and it isn't fierce, but its design is clever. It simply rewrites the rules for how a body can collect resources. Kakapo, brilliance built for the wrong world. And then there's the kakapo, a bird that seems like evolution tried something bold and then forgot to update the software when the world changed. The kakapo is a flightless nocturnal parrot, round as a mossy pillow and fragrant with a sweet, fruity scent. For millions of years, it lived in a predator-free paradise, so it adapted accordingly. Quiet footsteps, camouflage, and a defense strategy that boils down to stay completely still and hope for the best. Against eagles, that worked. Against cats, rats, and stoats introduced by humans, it was an absolute disaster. Its reproductive strategy doesn't help either. Kakapos breed through lecking. Males gather in bowls and produce deep, booming calls that echo for kilometers. Females visit only if the boom meets their high standards. This entire ceremony happens only in years when certain trees fruit heavily. Reproduction pauses if the fruit fails. Despite all that, the kakapo isn't a mistake. It's a masterpiece, perfectly tuned to an ecosystem that vanished. Today, thanks to intense conservation, the population is recovering, proof that even evolution's strangest blueprints can survive with a little human IT support. Barrel-eye fish. Vision redesigned for darkness. Deep in the Pacific, where sunlight never reaches, lives a fish that looks like an anatomical diagram brought to life. The barrel-eye fish has a transparent, fluid-filled dome for a skull, like a biological fighter jet canopy. Inside it sit two bright green tubular eyes, pointing straight upward, like periscopes for silhouettes. For decades, scientists misunderstood its anatomy because specimens arrived with their domes collapsed. Only after live observations did the truth become clear. Those upward-pointing eyes can rotate forward when the fish moves in for a strike. It's a sensory system built entirely around scarcity. You survive by spotting the faint shadow of something drifting above you. Evolution refined the barrel-eye into a specialist, a creature that literally sees through its own head to track food in a world where conventional vision is useless. It adapts to the physics of darkness itself. Velvet worm, ancient chemistry. In the leaf litter crawls an animal older than dinosaurs, older than fish, older than almost anything with legs. The velvet worm is a living relic from the Cambrian period, carrying a body plan that has survived unchanged for roughly 500 million years. Its method of hunting is equally ancient and wonderfully strange. When it senses prey, it fires two streams of sticky adhesive from nozzles on its face. The slime shoots out in a weaving pattern, hardening almost instantly into a biological net. Once the prey is trapped, the worm injects digestive saliva and slurps the liquefied insides like a protein shake. It's slow, it's soft-bodied, it has no armor. But it thrives because it uses chemistry as a weapon rather than force. It's one of evolution's longest-running success stories, 500 million years of proof that a good idea doesn't need an update. Maned wolf, the solitary outlier. Across the grasslands moves a creature that looks like a fox stretched onto stilts by a sadistic animator. The maned wolf is the tallest wild canid in the world, yet it isn't a wolf, isn't a fox, and isn't closely related to either. Genetically, it stands completely alone on its own branch. Those long legs aren't a fashion choice. They're an adaptation for moving through tall grass, giving it a silent, gliding stride that feels almost unreal. Its diet adds another twist. More than half of what it eats is fruit, specifically the wolf apple. It's an omnivore built for a hybrid niche, too specialized to resemble any other dog, too unique to compare. And then there's the scent. Its territorial markings smell strikingly like cannabis. This has caused more than a few false alarms in zoos. The maned wolf isn't a misfit. It's a reminder that evolution doesn't always refine toward familiar shapes. Sometimes it creates something that's entirely its own category. Platypus functional chaos. If you wanted to design an animal that breaks every rule and still works flawlessly, you'd end up with the platypus. It's an egg-laying mammal. It hunts using electrolocation in its bill. Males carry venomous spurs. It has no nipples. The mother excretes milk through pores in her skin, basically sweating milk. And under ultraviolet light, its fur glows in shades of blue and green. It sounds like a compilation of traits copied from other species, but each piece plays a role. The bill's sensors detect faint electrical signals from prey buried in mud. The venom helps during breeding season. The platypus isn't an evolutionary joke. It's a creature that proves evolution doesn't need consistency or elegance to succeed. It just needs functionality. Every odd feature on the platypus is a solution that worked well enough to persist for millions of years. Evolution doesn't always make sense, but hitting subscribe definitely does. Stay curious, and love you folks!